right, welcome to another episode of Piecing It Together, the podcast where we take a look at a new movie and try to figure out what movies inspired it. And today on the show, we are talking about Flight Risk, the new action movie starring Mark Wahlberg that was shot right here in Nevada, even though it is set up in Alaska, and you would not think watching it that it was shot here, but it was. And joining me to talk about it, first I've got Danette Tull from the Nevada Film Office. We are going to talk about the film, get into some puzzle pieces, talk a little bit about filming in Nevada. And then we are also going to talk to Troy Staton from LMG Studios, which is where we recorded the episode and which is where this film was shot. And we're going to talk a little bit about that, just how crazy it is that they brought a plane into this studio space and filmed it all there. Everything you see in the movie, it looks totally like it's just up there in the air, but everything was just shot right there where we just recorded this episode. So we got a fun double conversation coming up. And before we get to it, I do want to remind you, as always, to make sure you are subscribed to Piecing It Together wherever you listen to podcasts. We got a lot of episodes on the way. And so if you get subscribed wherever you're listening or on any of your favorite podcast apps, you'll find out about all those new episodes as they come out. I also want to remind you we have 2 upcoming live shows here in Las Vegas. On February 8th at Downtown Cinemas, we are doing Heart Eyes, and on Thursday, February 13th at Maya Cinemas, we're doing Captain America Brave New World. Got great lineups of guests. You can check out piecingpod.com for more info and chances to win tickets to both of those shows. So do that over at piecingpod.com, where you can also find the show, find all my social medias and all those things. So check out piecingpod.com. And with that said, let's get into our conversations about Flight Risk. All right, Danette Tull is here from the Nevada Film Office. We're going to talk about Flight Risk. How's it going, Danette?
It's going great. How are you?
I am doing awesome.
You look amazing. You look fantastic.
Do I look different than usual?
A little bit. Yeah, it's a vibe. It's kind of a vibe.
All right, cool. Yeah. So we are in this awesome studio here. We're going to be joined later a little bit by Troy Staton to talk about the studio. But first, we are here to talk about Flight Risk. And before we even get into Flight Risk, it is your first time on the show, finally, after many years.
Gosh, how long has this show been going?
It's going to be 7 years pretty soon here.
I'm so ashamed. I'm so sorry. But you have to really yay for persistence. Yeah. And this, if I was going to ever do a show about a movie, it would be this one because it filmed here. So it's perfect timing.
Exactly.
I'm glad we're doing it.
Well, tell people a little about you and Nevada Film Office and what you do.
Oh, sure. So I'm the Deputy Director of the Nevada Film Office. We are the film commission for the state of Nevada. So when you see movies like this and you say, how did they do that? And how did they make it look like Alaska? And how did that high-speed car crash happen on the strip? And, that kind of thing. That stuff happens with the help of our office. So we market the state as a production destination, and then we connect productions with services that they need while they're shooting here, like crew and equipment. We troubleshoot any sort of permitting problems. We assist a little bit with location scouting. So we're here as a free resource for the film community locally as well as globally. And we help productions of all sizes. It can be Flight Risk, it can be Netflix, it can be a UNLV, CSN student film. We're here to help everybody with the same level of service, and that's what we do.
Amazing. And obviously myself being a part of many films here in Las Vegas, it's great to have you guys out there doing what you do. So Flight Risk, getting into this one, we went and saw it together and with some other local Las Vegas creatives. It was a fun time out at the movies. This movie is, I had a really great time with it. It is such a modern B movie in a way, and it's like it's so.
But A actors, A locations, and A everything else.
Absolutely, no, seriously, A everything else, and but it is clearly in that kind of lineage of those kinds of straight up action movies that you watch on TNT or something like that.
It wasn't posing to be anything else. It wasn't promising anything else. It wasn't trying to be anything else. I mean, it was exactly you got what you went in expecting to get. So
this movie knows its audience, and it knows that we're just watching this and going, hell yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Or in my case, oh my God.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. Yeah. So I want to just start getting right into the puzzle pieces because we're going to have a whole conversation later with Troy about the studio and shooting in Nevada and all that. So we'll get into a lot of that later. But right now, let's get into Flight Risk. What do you have for your first puzzle piece, Danette, for Flight Risk?
Okay, so it was a little reminiscent for me, like a Con Air type situation, and maybe
Sure.
that's because I'm Nevada Film Office, and my mind automatically goes to other films that shot in Nevada where there's a hostage situation and a delicate flying situation. But that came to mind.
Yeah, absolutely. And you get a lot of these like very classic archetypes of like, you get your Southerner type and you get your tough guy type and like all these types of people. And Mark Wahlberg is a bunch of different types all kind of rolled into one. And he would fit right there on the Con Air plane. I think that's a great one.
Like he would just alone. He was just the most terrifying. Just the one of him.
Yeah,
so yeah,
absolutely. Well, speaking of that, I'm going to go to my first piece, which actually we were talking about it before we started recording with some of the people that worked here. Fear, one of Mark Wahlberg's first performances as an actor. This is something we haven't seen him do a lot lately, where he's got that kind of charming, almost puppy doggish look to him. But then when he flips that switch,
it's terrifying.
He's terrifying.
Absolutely terrifying and believable. Like, oh my goodness. Yeah. Like, oh crap.
And he's great when he turns that on, and it's really fun to see. There's been a lot of Mark Wahlberg performances I've loved over the years, and we just don't really see this out of him lately. And I don't know if that's just choices or just what comes his way, but with this one, he got to cut loose and just be a total psychopath, just like back in Fear. And so it definitely is a good
like
book
beyond psycho. Like I don't even just straitjacket, psycho type.
Yeah. They should have straitjacketed him, but he'd probably have found a way out. But so let's go to another one from you.
Okay, so my connection was, just in the line of stressful flight, plane landing type situations. For some reason, the Denzel Washington came to mind. The movie, was it called? I think it was called Flight.
Yeah.
Where it's not necessarily hostage, but there's that, there's like an emergency situation and you're just on the edge of your seat hoping they make it and hoping they land safely. And, that same theme of like, something went wrong and they have to survive. So that kind of came to mind.
Flight is a good one, and it's a good movie, and it definitely, it knows that you have to stick that crash landing. And so, I mean, that shooting something like that here is very, very exciting here in Nevada in general, but here as well. But that's a great one, and definitely when everything is out of control and somebody has to kind of step up and make the call. So.
But he was still a pilot in that.
Yeah.
So if we're doing,
he was a pilot, but he was a little mess.
Okay.
Well, give away spoiler alert.
I don't want to spoil too much of both movies, but yeah,
absolutely. But no, good one to include here. You know what? I'm going to actually stick in that vein that you're in right there, and go with something I just watched for the first time this week, actually, for the other podcast I produce, Awesome Movie Year. We're going to be doing an episode on Airplane, and that's not my puzzle piece.
Oh my gosh. I was going to bring this up as a left field one. I had the same thought, though.
It could
exactly.
I'm actually going to go to the movie Airplane.
Yep, I was going to do the same.
0 Hour, which is just pure crazy, ridiculous. It is so much like Airplane. It's almost like I can't believe that this movie existed. I only found out about it recently. But obviously here we've got a totally different reason why somebody else has to land the plane.
Yeah, no, that crossed my mind too. Like, we need a pilot.
Yeah, exactly. It's not Bad Fish. In this movie,
yeah.
But,
Don't call me Shirley or whatever. Yeah, exactly.
So, 0 Hour definitely gives you that. And also in 0 Hour, like I said, I just watched it. They even have that same thing of the person who's kind of working our, last minute pilot situation through it keeps on hanging up so that way they can conserve battery. Like that's like a whole thing. Like all these little things you think
running out of technology and you don't have a signal and the gas running. It's like every single triggering anxiety moment for me is in this film.
I would rather land a plane in 2025 than in 1957, though. That would have been really bad.
I don't know.
Let's go to another one from you.
I mean, Snakes on a Plane came to mind just because it's about this kind of stressful situations I never, ever want to find myself in and silly things I think of when I fly every now and then that you try to like get out of your mind. But anything where I just want to get off. I want the ride to end, kind of. I just want it to land and everyone just be safe again.
Sure. Yeah. And like I said at the beginning, I mean, this movie knows what it is. You know, Mel Gibson came into this project with like a very specific like idea that this is a movie for people that like to just have fun with movies. They're not like, thinking about it in any kind of a deeper way or anything.
It wasn't like a drawn out character piece or something like that. Yeah, for sure.
It's just a silly, fun excuse for some action and some violence.
Yeah.
And Snakes on a Plane is exactly that. So it definitely is one that fits in here really well. So I'm going to go back to Mark Wahlberg's insane character and go with Reservoir Dogs, the first Tarantino film, and the Michael Madsen character, who is just a complete sociopath. And you can tell that he doesn't even really care about robbing banks or anything. He's just gotten into this line of work to torture people, basically.
Yeah. That I didn't have that on my bingo card necessarily, but not only was he, a villain and a bad guy, but he was like twisted and demented and just he was sick on top of it. And he liked it a little too much. So
he loved
all of that was terrifying.
Yeah, that adds to that character and to just making it a very memorable character. And like I said, something that we haven't seen from him in a long time, but it's really cool to see. So
true story.
Yeah. Do you have any other pieces you want to bring up here? Any other things you thought of?
I mean, those were the main ones. I was trying to stick with, movies that stress me out. That involve planes, and those were the ones that came to mind.
Yeah. Well, I got a couple more I'll just throw out there. Nonstop. It's a Liam Neeson film, speaking of just straight up, action movies, but on a nonstop flight, of course. And, that's more of a full flight. It's not just three people, but, action star who gets stuck in a situation where the plane is going to go down if guns start blazing, so you got to be careful and safe about saving the day. Can't just start opening fire, So that one fits, I think, pretty well. The other thing I thought of was Panic Room, the David Fincher film.
Interesting. I didn't connect that. But
it's a little bit different in the setup, but just the idea that these people are stuck in a place and getting out of the place means what? Stepping off of the plane.
There's one of two ways it could go. There's probably three ways it could go, and you only want the one of the three ways.
One way
which is surviving.
Only good way. So,
right.
Yeah, absolutely. Those are the pieces that I was thinking of here. I think the fun thing about this movie is just the silliness of the concept and attacking it in a very serious way, in that it is done with so much attention to detail and to the tension of it all. So much action, and even though it's in a closed space, and they really are able to put all that together, even though it's such a small, contained thriller. Did you have any closing thoughts? Anything that we didn't quite talk about here that you wanted to bring up?
About the movie itself, or the making of the movie, or the movie itself? I just thought it did a good job of building upon the tension. They'll get the characters get out of one, situation. It's kind of wipe the sweat from your brow, and then it's another shoe drops, and oh my gosh, and what's coming next, and so it kept me entertained throughout with all those twists and turns of are you kidding me? It was a little bit of really. Yeah, this is happening now. Yeah. So I liked it. I thought it was fun.
Yeah, they do a good job of continuing to up the ante, and every time it seems like it's how many different things could happen on this one little cargo plane.
And the composure of the lady, that's all I kept thinking about is this lady is Grace under fire. Great, at what point would I have been crying and just been I don't care, just let it crash, But I did enjoy the strong female protagonist character, which you don't see that in a lot of movies, but the fact that there was a female lead that took control of the situation, and she kicked some butt, and was good at it and all that kind of stuff, and was the calm and cool, level-headed person in the movie, instead of going to a man what should we do? I'm the helpless damsel in distress. So I like to see some of that badassery. I don't know if I can say that on this show, but she was badass.
Yeah, you could definitely say that on the show. I want to mention really quick about the fact that this is shot in Nevada, but is set in Alaska.
Right.
That is pretty cool.
Crazy.
And one of the exciting things about this movie in general, aside from it just being, this great little Mark Wahlberg action flick, but the fact that we don't see that very often.
Oh my gosh,
from your point of view,
Goodness
from the
gracious.
Nevada Film Office,
Yeah.
Everything in Vegas is a Vegas movie usually, or
or it doubles for the Middle East or something that goes with our terrain,
Sure.
Mexico or the Midwest, obviously somewhere. But never have I ever had somebody say I have a movie set in Alaska. How about let's try Nevada? That's just, it doesn't make sense at the beginning.
Yeah.
So that's kind of crazy.
It's the polar opposite. They could have went Pennsylvania, but no, they're going to Alaska.
And in Las Vegas in triple degree heat of all places, so the whole thing was just, hey, now we can do anything, right?
Yeah.
So that was just kind of proving that we can do it. And, so often we lose productions that are set for Vegas and they're going outside here. They're coming here and doing exteriors and going somewhere else that looks like Nevada. We've never gotten the something completely different that doesn't look or need to look like Nevada. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're going to talk a little bit more with Troy in a little bit about some more of the Nevada aspect of this whole thing. But before we do, I always ask my guests, is there another movie you watched recently you'd like to recommend to our listeners?
Or besides Flight Risk, I mean, that was the most recent thing.
I know that's what you're here to
Darn it.
recommend, but you got to recommend
Yeah.
one other thing. So you can think.
Oh
You
my
can
gosh.
think about it.
I'm trying to catch up on all the Golden Globe nominees and stuff like that.
It could be an old movie too. It doesn't have to be a new one. Just something that you liked recently that you saw. I know you were texting me about The Substance. What about
I was going to say that, but I didn't want to get judged too harshly. But all right, The Substance, it was so crazy. I mean, it's not like, it was something that I completely did not expect. And I'm like, it's not for everyone, like for sure. There's certain people I'm like, to my mom, like, don't watch it, just skip right over. You're going to hate it.
Yeah.
But it was just so like out there, and you didn't know, another one of those, you didn't know what you were going to get until you were in it. And like, I guess I didn't really read much about it, and I just turned the age of a certain lady of a certain age kind of thing. And so for me, it was like kind of hitting all the comedy, beats with like, oh, after 50, you just become, unattractive and your life is over and you need to start doing all this kind of, plastic surgery or whatever. So, yeah, that was just fun because it was so ridiculous and it was so just
So
out there and like, it's just so out there, like just unexpected. And, and in fact, after the movie, my kids looked at me and said, Mom, if you ever bring up like Botox or fillers or any of that again, I said, you know what? I will never. After that movie has stopped any of my aging naturally things that I was not going to want to do. So that cured me from ever wanting to do any of that.
Amazing.
So, yeah.
That's awesome. So we're going to go and talk to Troy Staton now. But Danette, thank you so much for doing the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
All right, so we just got done talking about Flight Risk, but now we are actually joined by someone from this amazing studio where it was shot. Troy, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Yeah, you're welcome.
This is such a crazy place. I want to get some of your thoughts on the movie and like the process of making this thing, but first tell us a little bit about what you do and what you do here.
I am the regional operations manager for LMG in Las Vegas. And we built this pretty much soundstage studio, 91, I want to say.
That's a while ago.
It's a while ago,
Yeah.
But then we had a year of pandemic where we didn't get too much usage out of it. And then it became like one of the best kept secrets in Vegas.
Yeah.
But we've done a lot of notable stuff out of here, including Flight Risk.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I want to get to some of those other things too while we're talking here, but I want to go to Danette real quick because you stopped by here during some of the shooting for like a little set visit. Talk a little bit about what that process was like and like what it felt like seeing some of that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's just incredible to be back in the same space. I mean, it was completely transformed into, the Alaskan sky tundra, set all around us. And there was a huge, fuselage of an airplane, seeing all the cast and crew. And it was like hardly any room to stand. I mean, it was packed. It was kind of tight in here. So it's interesting to be back in the raw space. It's pretty cool.
I bet it's like just, especially because it's all closed in, it's literally four walls, just boom, boom, boom all around us, and all of that action happening in this relatively small, it's pretty big, but it's also kind of relatively small for all those people and a plane and all that stuff. How crazy is it to get all that in here in the first place?
Well, there's really no dock connected to the studio, so we have to come through the existing warehouse. So we open the docks, and the fuselage came in on a flatbed with no wings, and we put it on a rolling gimbal legs that we had, and rolled it in here, squeezed it in 10 by 10 doors, and then when they got it in, we got the gimbal set up and secured, and then they proceeded to erect the plane, get it secured on the gimbal and the hydraulic attachment that was with it, and put the wings on, and that's when the magic started happening.
Absolutely. And so the lighting, the screens that create the 360 like effect around it, like is all that in-house, or does stuff like that come in from out of the location?
Pretty much, it can happen either way, and that all depends on the client. So this studio can be rent out like a dry rental, or you can rent it out. And also right next door is basically what we call the candy store. We got everything to supply this studio that the customer could need. and then or they could bring in their own.
Yeah, absolutely. And this, of course, is right here in Las Vegas. And Danette and I went to see the movie with some of the people that worked on it, some of our local film talent and all that kind of stuff. And why do you think Las Vegas is becoming a really exciting place for this kind of production?
This is something that I noticed with the studio, and this is like not this is on the music realm. There's some studios on the East Coast, but the thing with the studios on the East Coast, they didn't have ample accommodations for the client or the artist. So they tend not to go there. It's more of a production related. But with this studio here in Vegas, we have all of that. You can have a penthouse room on the Strip and then come to work. And, the studio that we have provided here and put in a good amount of work, some quality stuff, and then go back to your penthouse or the Strip or a restaurant or whatever. But a lot of places don't have those amenities, I would say.
It's
so
funny.
That works in our favor.
Yeah, it's funny to hear you say that because like it almost seems like an extension of what makes Vegas great to begin with is just that we have everything. And so that's why it's great for conventions. It's why it's great for so many other things. So why not film?
Right. And now this studio and everybody that comes here is like, man, didn't know this was in Vegas. It's like one of the best kept secrets in Vegas for now.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Maybe they'll read the credits on Flight Risk.
Yeah, I hopefully, absolutely. So with this place, I know that the size of it had to be a big part of like creating this particular project. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, we are in the flight path of McCarran Airport or Harry Reid, I think they changed it. Yeah. But we maxed it out at 54, I want to say, ceiling trim height, which is perfect. So it kind of equates to like the Thomas Mack Center. It equates to the T-Mobile Arena, I want to say, and a lot of other arenas around the country. So when people come here and they do their production rehearsals, pre-production rehearsals, they can pretty much set up and equate what they're going to experience out on show site.
Okay.
Without any deviations.
Yeah. And I mean, it gives them the entire process. I mean, to get away a little bit from Flight Risk, I mean, talk about just the variety of what you've done here.
Well, actually, definitely the majority of music. So Flight Risk did take us kind of off of our normal path. But we also shot, we do the Super Bowl every year. Production, we do a lot of LED and audio for the Super Bowl. But we did have the opportunity to do a Uber Eats commercial here for the Super Bowl. I think this was like 2 years ago. And they recreated the scene from
Wayne's World.
Wayne's
World.
Yes.
Party time.
Yeah. So they recreated the scene from Wayne's World right here. So we had all production cameras, everything.
That's awesome.
And also, so that's on the video side, but musically, of recent, we just did a Hans Zimmer, which we got a nice write-up in Pulse and FOH. So we just did the second leg. We just did Two Friends. Last year, being we got the Super Bowl coming up, this would be a year ago, we recorded Usher here in the studio. So we recorded his Super Bowl set live.
Right here in this room.
Right.
Yeah.
And we heard it live.
And then made it
I'll leave it at that.
You had Carrie Underwood's rehearsed in here, right? And some of the headliners in town and the Killers. And you've had some, it's primarily a rehearsal space, correct?
Killers, Avenged Sevenfold was big. The Rock Will Kiss was big. Travis Scott. We did J. Cole. Yeah.
It must be surreal for them.
All that's online.
Yeah, it must be surreal for them to come in here and just be like, oh, there's my stage. It's just like here in a room right now.
It is. Like I said, people come here and it's like, wow, I never knew this existed in Vegas.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're changing that. We're going to change that right now.
I ain't rehearsing nowhere else because, man, I can still go to my favorite restaurant and my favorite casino and still get some work done.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, speaking of that surrealness, with Flight Risk, like, was there any moments during the shooting that was just like, you were like, they're doing this action movie on a plane right now? Like, was there any of that was just like absolutely wild to see?
Well, they were here for a little over a month, I want to say. And, during that time, being that I work here, I always, want to give the client their privacy. And I got a lot of other things going on. So it didn't really spend too much, pay too much attention to it. But
What about you, Danette?
People would give me updates, Danette, right?
Yeah, just a little bit
What's
like,
going on?
What's going on down there, and can we come by and visit the set? And is it a good day? And kind of get what's the climate here before. I don't want to show up during the most stressful day of shooting, so where there's a lot of coordination around that. But yeah.
You don't want to run into Mark Wahlberg and that bald cat walking
I
to the
mean,
bathroom.
no, not necessarily, not at all. No.
Yeah,
you never know. He might be
No.
in character.
Yeah.
That could create a problem. So.
Oh no.
But we try to keep it, as comfortable as possible for the artists, so they feel comfortable. They want to come back. They can also spread the word of the experience that they had here. We have room for catering. We try to keep the outside atmosphere calm and unpopulated. So if you want to go outside and catch a breath of fresh air, it's not a bunch of paparazzi or people standing outside. So that's why there's no signage on the building. We want to keep it like that because that's one of our attractions, I would say.
Yeah. Danette, do you have any other questions you wanted to ask Troy?
No, I just think this is a great, what we're calling an alternative studio space for Las Vegas. We don't, we have a handful of what we call studios and sound stages, and there's not a lot with this size and scope and capability that you guys had. To your point, you had like the green room for the talent, you had places, bathrooms that were private, and the whole catering was set up, and production offices, and it was like almost every square inch of this space that was available to use was being used. And so that's what's something that's really cool about this space is that, we're able to modify these type of spaces for film production, which is exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of people obviously we're growing as a film destination, but people just don't realize it at first. And I mean, we've got so much space here. Why not have these big indoor things? Obviously it's hot out, where people can shoot things like this. I mean, it's definitely fitting a very specific need that Hollywood needs. So it's a great thing. It's a great thing to have. Troy, I want to ask you, this is a movie podcast first and foremost. Do you have any favorite movies that you'd like to shout out? I know it's putting you on the spot a little bit, but.
Well, right now I've been kind of on the kind of kiddie scene. My grandson turns 1 today, but I have a granddaughter that's 8 and one that's 3. So, Papa spends a lot of time with them in front of the screen.
Sure.
Entertainment with popcorn, the kind of home atmosphere. But on my own, I don't really frequent the theaters as much as I would like to.
Mm-hmm.
But you will for this one, right? You're going to support Flight Risk in the
4DX,
theaters, right?
Most definitely. Matter of fact, what time is this over? I'm
Ready to catch a showing right now.
Catch a show right now.
Absolutely. Well, Troy Staton, thank you so much for doing the show. Thank you for talking to us a little bit about the background of this place. It's an amazing facility, and much success with future projects. I can't wait to see what else shoots here.
Likewise. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
I'm really curious to see what the future holds for us. This room, it just gets more and more and more interesting. Who knew we would be doing Hans Zimmer? And he talk about movies. I would love to hear him perform The Lion King.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's manifest that. Put that out there.
Yeah, let's do it. I need a ticket for that though.
Yeah.
So.
Maybe we'll get some props
We'll
in
see.
there
I mean,
too.
yeah, who knows? Who knows what anything's possible. That's what's so great about where we are in this whole process in the industry here is that we're just getting started.
And I want to take the time to thank Danette and the
Aw.
staff at the Nevada Theater that's just constantly there, putting us on the forefront and speaking about what we have going on here, and yourself as well.
Absolutely.
We
thank
got to
you,
market the assets that we have. Like I say, I mean, we've only got this handful of things, and so we do whatever we can to land the project. Like, what do you need? We will find it for you. We'll make it happen. We will turn this space into Alaska. How can we help?
Right.
So, yeah.
But I think everybody knows you can always come out here at any time to get that perfect desert shot, right?
Yeah, of course. That's easy.
At least you get that. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
but now
No
you can get
CGI for
anything
that.
else.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's what's so crazy.
Absolutely. Well, again, thank you so much for doing the show. And Danette, thank you so much for doing the show as well.
Absolutely, my pleasure. I know it's been on the radar for years and years. So, we're here. We're doing it.
We'll get you back again soon, I'm
Perfect.
sure.
Thank you.
Now you're the flight risk. Leaving now, huh?
Hi, this is Wax Trax Records here on 2909 South Decatur. We buy all your old 45s, your old albums, any type of music memorabilia. Also, we sell music memorabilia, albums, CDs, and a lot. Come on down to Wax Trax, 2909 South Decatur, or give me a call at 702-362-4300. Thank you very much.
All right, so I hope you enjoyed that conversation about flight risk. Thank you so much to Danette Tull for joining me on that one. And also thank you to Troy Staton and LMG Studios for having us out to record that episode. It was a really fun thing to record on set where the film was actually shot here in Nevada. So thank you guys for having us out. And thank you to all of you for listening. If you're enjoying Piecing It Together, make sure you are subscribed. You could also follow us on social media at Piecing Pod and join our Facebook group, Popcorn and Puzzle Pieces, where we continue the conversation about all the movies we talk about here on the show. I already told you at the top that we've got a couple of live shows coming up, so make sure to get over to piecingpod.com if you're here in Las Vegas and want to enter to win some tickets for those shows. We have a bunch more that we'll be announcing very soon, and they're always so much fun to do. So make sure to come out, support the shows. We'd love to see you out. We always get some audience participation, get some prizes in there, and you get to support movie theaters, and that's what we're all about here. So we're going to close this out with a piece of music like I always do. And actually, the day that this episode goes up, I have a brand new album coming out. It's called Missing Pieces 2018 to 2024, and this is a special compilation album that combines 16 brand new songs with the 24 singles I released last year under my very ridiculously ambitious 24 for 2024 series. So now it's all one big giant album, 40 tracks long, of basically everything that didn't fit on my other albums throughout the last 6 years. And it is just something I'm super proud of because honestly, none of this is throwaways. It's all just great, great stuff. And yeah, I'm super excited to release this. So this album is out today on all of the streaming services. You could also buy it on Bandcamp. And I think for this one, I am going to go with a track called Throughout the World. This is a really cool track. It's got some like really different kinds of influences in it, like from all different kinds of genres and stuff. So I think it's a really cool one. And yeah, this will be a good one to close us out with. So let's go with Throughout the World. Hope you enjoy it. Check out Missing Pieces, the new album. It's out now on Spotify, Apple Music, all the places you can listen to music. And we'll be back with more Piecing It Together real soon.
An All Points West production, produced by David Rosen in Las Vegas.